Let's bring in Republican Congressman Doug Collins. He joins me now. What is D.C. saying? What is Washington saying about this Dow drop? And this comes in the midst of all this great economic news.
Hey, Liz, it's good to be with you. I think one of the things that D.C. is talking about is like some of your previous guests said, there's always ups and downs and corrections in the marketplace. And I think that one of the things is they're looking at is what does this long-term mean? What's really interesting here is we're having to talk about this in light of the economist and all the stock looking ahead and business looking at on how they plan now with a tax system that works, how they plan to expand their business, and how that what does that mean for an economics in our country that are actually growing. For years, what they've had to worry about, well, what is economic anemia look like? Now we're having to look like what an economic rush is going to look like. So I think some part of that's just weighing in, and they want to make sure that what they're seeing is solid, and I think that this is what they're going to see.
You know, Congressman, let's switch gears. The House Intelligence Committee voting whether to release the Democrats' counter-response to the Republicans' memo on surveillance abuse claims in the FBI and the Department of Justice. Now, the memo from the Democrats apparently based on the same classified documents the Republicans used, which they claim will fill in omissions in that first Republican memo. But watch this. Democrats and former FBI Director James Comey, so far they have not disputed what the FISA abuse memo actually says, that senior DOJ and FBI officials covered up to the FISA court that British spy Christopher Steele was vehemently anti-Trump, that he was paid by Democrats and fed information by Democrats to do opposition research on Donald Trump. Even after Christopher Steele was let go by Fusion Research, he was still working and talking with FBI and DOJ officials. Also covered up that the FBI had only minimally verified the Steele file and that the FBI itself was authorizing payment to Christopher Steele. The media, though, is racing to downplay the Republicans' FISA abuse memo. Watch.
The interest wasn't oversight. The interest was a political hit job on the FBI in the service of the president. The goal here is to undermine the FBI, discredit the Mueller investigation, do the president's bidding.
I'll just tell you, this could precipitate a constitutional crisis. If the House Republicans believe they've set the stage for this president to end this investigation, they are basically saying that in America, one man is above the law.
The fact that Devin Nunes and Republicans denied the ability of the minority to put out its report is just appalling. And I think it really underscores just how partisan Mr. Nunes has been. He has abused the office of the chairmanship of HPSCI, and I don't say that lightly.
Again, none of these individuals disputed the claims in the FISA abuse memo, and President Trump is not saying he's going to shut down the Mueller investigation. This as reports claim that the Clinton campaign was feeding information to British spy Christopher Steele. It's still unclear what that information was. Congressman, what is your reaction to the memo?
Well, Liz, it is pretty funny to hear partisans say that they hate being partisan. I mean, that's just pretty hilarious. And it's also pretty sad that a sitting United States senator says that oversight by Congress creates a constitutional crisis. Well, maybe the constitutional crisis was created because they were misusing the FISA court in the way they were supposed to get their FISA application warrants. I think there's an interesting play here. The committee right now is dealing with the Democrat response memo. They're going to vote it out, and they're going to be working on that right now. But also remember, the Democrats didn't start their own memo until after our chairman had took the initiative to say, here's something wrong going on. Where were they not concerned that there was possible abuse going on? Why did it take them a time to actually put their own memo together and then have to have it scrubbed? So part of this is on their own. That, to me, is their own file. So, yeah. I mean, we'll look at how that comes out. But it is sort of interesting to me here. And Mr. Comey, I mean, come on. I remember having him a few years ago asking him a direct question, did he get played by Hillary Clinton? He got real mad at me at that time in committee. But he said, more and more, the truth is revealing out that he was in over his head. He kept floundering around. And now we're stuck with a lot of his bad decisions. And Ms. Clinton, we've already determined a lot of what she's been going through. And again, the American people made a clear choice. They wanted to see President Trump. So I think we just need to continue to focus on what's out there.
Maybe the Democrat memo will give a preview of what the Mueller investigation is all about. Maybe finally Americans get an update on the Mueller investigation through this Democrat memo. Again, vote coming this hour, it looks like right now. Intelligence Chair Devin Nunes saying Phase 2 is coming. To your point, Congressman, about Hillary Clinton's State Department. Phase 2 coming. Watch.
What we're looking at now is the State Department and some of the irregularities there. And we have several other areas that we're looking at, but I don't want the American people to think that we're going to have a memo that will go through this process. What we'll do is we will follow in phase 2. We will follow the facts where they lead. And when we get enough facts, we will then figure out a way to let the American people know. Likely it won't be done in the way that this was done.
Congressman, what exactly is of interest to Devin Nunes at the Hillary Clinton State Department?
Well, I think we'll just have to leave that to Chairman Nunes. I think there's a lot of things that she was involved in, a lot of things in the State Department that, over time that we, from basically goes back to her days with her email servers, with the things that of mishandling of classified information. This is the kind of things that I think people are, are just really amazed at. And what's happening here, and what's amazing to me to watch the Democratic colleagues just sort of have their, I guess you would, your freak out moment here is, oh my, we have committees actually doing oversight on things that were wrong. And again, if that's a constitutional crisis, then that's the constitutional founders set this in motion, that Congress would be the checks and balance to this. So I think when you have investigations going awry, when you have warrant applications that are using unverified documents, when you're doing things like this, it requires that the Judiciary Committee, it requires the Intelligence Committee, it requires Congress as a whole to come together and say, we have a priority here.
And later in the show, we're going to get to the abuses under the Obama administration, things like what happened at the IRS, spying on journalists, and much more. We've got the full list. The Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, he is Democrat Adam Schiff, saying the FISA abuse memo will hurt intelligence gathering. Watch.
There's a compact between our committee and the intelligence community. You give us your deepest held secrets, we will hold them in good confidence. We won't abuse them. They're going to share a lot less with us now, and other sources of information are going to decide not to share with the FBI because they can't rely on our committee not to be partisan in the handling of that information, and that's a deep disservice, which ultimately makes the country less safe.
Critics are saying, Adam Schiff, you have it wrong. It's specious and false to say intelligence gathering was exposed with the FISA abuse memo. No sources, no methods exposed that are not already publicly known. Right, Congressman?
Yeah. That's right. There's nothing here. Really, what's really concerning here is I'm trying to figure out what Congressman Schiff's trying to say here. Is he's trying to say that no matter what the intelligence community comes and tells him, it's okay, that if it broaches the line of not following the FISA process as it should be, you tell me that if Mr. Schiff was chairman of that committee, he would turn a blind eye to abuses? Is that what the ranking minority member of the Intelligence Committee is telling the American public, that he's willing to turn a blind eye to improprieties that possibly happened in a FISA warrant if he was a chairman of that committee? That's not a really good path I think the American people want to see from a member of Congress who's supposed to be doing oversight. You can disagree, but it's really concerning to say that you jeopardize sources and methods, which it did not, but also say that they're not going to share. Well, that's your job as a congressman, Mr. Schiff. Do your job of oversight. Don't say, well, it may hurt just because you may have to call out something that's done wrong. That's what this system is based on, checks and balances. That's why we're doing this.
Congressman Doug Collins, good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Look at this, rioting in